Hi, I'm Jesse Schrader, CEO and co-founder of Amboss Technologies, and we build intelligent lightning infrastructure. And this is a presentation that I gave on May 7th, 2025 at the Tuscany Lightning Summit in Viareggio, Italy. And this talk is about what is the right LSP for you and some of the work that we've done at Amboss to make smarter buying decisions for liquidity on the Lightning Network. So really, as the number of liquidity service providers has grown, how can we better evaluate which ones are strategic and worth the price that they're asking for? So in this talk, I'll be introducing a new metric for evaluation, some new tooling, and what lies ahead for objective assessments of liquidity value. So first off, I'll talk a bit about LSPs. And this term gets used for Lightning Service Provider as well as Liquidity Service Provider. And today I'll be talking about LSPs, meaning liquidity services, and focusing really on how to choose the right LSP as a liquidity service provider. So first, what's the problem that LSPs solve? It's really supporting reliable commerce. So it means providing inbound liquidity, optimizing channel management, simplifying the onboarding, enhancing network reliability, and supporting scalability for this super important payment network called the Lightning Network. So the first question is, are LSPs solving reliable payments? Now, on the plus side, we've seen that services have really improved. So tooling that's easier to use. The LSP spec has improved discoverability for other LSPs, which overall means more options that are available to the buyers of liquidity. Now, on the downside, the value versus cost is completely opaque. So there's really no guarantee that even if you buy a Lightning channel from one of these LSPs, there's really no guarantee that the payment experience is going to improve. And then second, the value communication, just, what does this LSP actually mean for me is a very technical question. And so users keep asking, which one do I choose? With so many options, which one is the right one for me? And this is something that we've seen at Amboss as well. We've run the Magma Marketplace as a decentralized LSP listing service. And with a whole bunch of sellers that are out there, with each with their individual pricing, we've run into a problem because there's really no ranking or filtering by actual utility for the things that LSPs solve, which is reliable commerce. Now, we have introduced a reputation score, which really tells us whether these LSPs are actually upholding their end of the bargain, which means leaving a channel open for a specified period of time. And really, this is a problem that not only we experience for our Magma Marketplace, but broadly for the network, even if you're looking at things like liquidity ads. So what is the right metric to evaluate things? I think betweenness, or a centrality metric, such as betweenness, that gets used a lot. And what comes out of it is really no guarantee of a better payment experience. It's a metric that is easy to calculate when you look at any network, but it just measures whether there is a path, not whether it gives you reliable payments. And overall, the effect is that it pushes nodes into more higher competition zones. So if I connect to another node that is very central to the network by betweenness, I'm actually helping them be more central in the network. And of course, that becomes more centralizing for the network. So here I've shown the different rankings of nodes by betweenness. I've got async, C equals, Olympus, and Breeze down at the bottom. And Breeze is ranked at place 5,335 in the network. And that doesn't mean that Breeze is actually a bad LSP. It simply means that it doesn't score highly in Betweenness compared to the other LSPs. And overall, I'm saying Betweenness is not a good measure for the quality of an LSP. So we put a lot of thought into this. And one thing that stuck out to us is that there's another metric called max flow. And this popped up in Rene Picart's research, where this max flow concept is a concept that is used in other industries, such as transportation, pipe flow, and also internet service providers when they're planning out how much bandwidth they can actually deliver to a customer. So this same concept can be applied to the Lightning Network. And really, this measures actual payment ability when applied to Lightning, and it considers the real liquidity and the structure. And we can run this calculation when the Lightning Network changes to give us a dynamic sense of how the network is performing. So really, the calculation is attempting payments from random sources to random destinations, or we could do it as shown here as random sources to a fixed destination. And so here we have the entire network, which is random destinations. And this really represents a worst case scenario. We can see the entire network is very good at micropayments, so AI systems. But when it comes to everyday payments, defined as $10 to $4,000, those payment amounts will have a lot more difficulty, where we see here at $2,000 payments has just a 20% reliability for anywhere in the network. Of course, that's worst case scenario. More realistically is paying to one of these more common nodes. So async is right here, tightly grouped with the others. And at the $2,000 payment, then we're seeing upwards of, let's see, about 47% reliability that you could pay from any random source and reach the async node with a $2,000 payment. So not terrible, but really we want to get to the large enterprise payments. We want to see the global economy move on to the Lightning Network and move on to Bitcoin. So this is a good way to see how we're doing as a network as a whole, and it gives us a good way to evaluate individual Lightning nodes. So we can see more clearly what is the payment reliability for $10 payments, $100 payments, and $1,000 payments. And I've started the graph down here at 50% reliability. So don't worry too much, but overall at $1,000 payments, we're seeing about 55% reliability for these $1,000 payments from most of the LSPs that you might be familiar with: Async, C equals, Olympus, Breeze, Megalithic, Kappa, which is Wallet of Satoshi, and Flash Sats. So overall, tells us Lightning Network does micropayments well, current LSPs are very similar, and those payment pathways are concentrated. And I'll go into that a little bit deeper. So we took this max flow calculation and we limited the simulation of these payments to actually smaller portions of the network. So using the top 10% of the Lightning Network, so a random source in the top 10% to a random destination in the top 10% of nodes by capacity, that actually shows that a $10,000 payment is actually possible with 60% reliability or 60% probability of success. So not bad if you're paying from centralized node to centralized node. But if you want to pay anywhere else in the network, it's going to be a lot more difficult. So you can see top 10%, top 20%. And really this is telling us, well, there's just more capital being put towards these nodes in order to achieve this higher payment reliability. So those top network nodes are highly interconnected, and maybe they don't have the best connections to the rest of the network. So Lightning performance, consequently, is not very distributed. Now, one thing that we can do, since a lot of the LSPs and listings actually include prices, we can evaluate whether the price is really worth it. So, how many dollars does it take to increase my max flow for certain sizes of payments? And what we see now, I've actually omitted the names of the LSPs, but this is real data. At a $1 payment, it's just shy of 50 cents for our most expensive channel. And there's other LSPs which give the same performance gain, but are about half the price. And we see this consistently across. So when evaluating these different LSPs, you could actually say, maybe I shouldn't be paying that much. And you could pay about half the price, get the same performance improvement, and really get closer to higher reliability. Additionally, instead of just choosing one LSP, this actually gives you the ability to maybe have more decentralized participants. So you could purchase from multiple LSPs, and together they may have a larger cumulative effect where you could increase your payment reliability further instead of just relying on one LSP. So overall, this gives us a better pathway to having more decentralized participants and not just relying on a single evaluation or a single node to provide all of our liquidity needs. Now, one thing with max flow is it's not an easy calculation to make. It actually takes several minutes to complete a max flow simulation at the current network size. So we're thinking about scalability and making immediate recommendations about which node to choose is actually a very difficult problem, because not only do we need to assess the network as it is today, but also figure out, well, what node should we add? And currently there's 14,000 nodes out there. So if we're going to simulate a payment or a max flow for every additional channel that is added from the 14,000 nodes, well, then we're having to do a max flow calculation that takes several minutes, 14,001 times. And that really isn't feasible. So in order to rapidly increase the speed of recommendations, we used a reinforcement learning approach, and we created an agent that is collecting probabilities about which one is going to increase our max flow the best. And we trained this agent to do this. And we also compared it with other heuristics. So just randomly choosing another lightning channel, that increases our max flow, but not that much, by a million sats after 5 channels. Now, degree, that means number of channels, is actually a much better heuristic. So we can connect to nodes that have more channels. But our agent actually outperforms that by a significant margin and with higher reliability. So for those same 5 channels, we could actually reach 2.25 million more sats that could be received. So translating that to dollars at $100,000 Bitcoin, that means you can actually make 2,500 or 2,250 more dollars using the same 5 channel openings than if you did it using another method. Now, value-based payments. We really want to align the incentives between LSPs providing a reliable service and actually the price that they're charging for it. So the buyers should be getting additional routing power and not just redundant channels. And also the payments that they're making should reflect real network improvement. So by applying some additional intelligence through that simulation, we can make the liquidity management much, much simpler by moving that intelligence into the background and really working to benefit the Lightning Network as a whole, not just individual providers. So with this, we're proud to introduce liquidity subscriptions. And this provides smart liquidity management. So really no complexity, there's no channel management, there's no data required, and it gives us smarter decentralization. So how this works is very simple interface. Really, you set your revenue capacity. So say I'm planning to receive $30,000 per month, and this is going to cost me $150 per month as a subscription. So overall, this represents 0.5% of transaction fee. So you can directly compare this 0.5% to traditional payment processors like Visa and MasterCard that may charge 3 or 4% for doing the payment processing. So Lightning is already very efficient, and this 0.5% is really about net deposit volume. It's not true gross revenue, it's actually net revenue. Because if you start using Lightning Network for outward payments, you can use the exact same infrastructure and reuse it many, many times. So far more efficient. Now, beyond the slider, you just need to enter your node pub key or the connection information. And overall, that makes it so Amboss can go purchase from the network the smartest liquidity for your node and personalize the recommendation and just pay it. Those channels will just start to open up. We can pair this with a payment reliability report, which gives you KPIs or key performance indicators that actually tell you about your node health and your Lightning Network health. So overall, that should support more reliable, large payments network-wide. And so with this payment reliability report, we'll deliver some max flow simulations, which give you additional insight. So say, for example, of how good is your node at receiving from the top 10%. Now, I think most folks are most concerned about, can I receive payments from Wallet of Satoshi? Can I receive payments from Strike? Those are probably some of the most central nodes out there and the most important for payments. But beyond that, if you have customers which may be sending payments from their own node in a fully self-custodial future, you'll want to address reachability from the broadest part of the network as possible, and they may not be in the top 10%. So overall, this payment reliability report can help you create service level agreements and SLAs, especially for enterprise applications. And just why this matters, purchasing liquidity without a strategy is a risky endeavor. So don't buy channels that don't improve your routing, and stop guessing at it and just start measuring and optimizing. And the max flow simulations actually give us a way to do that. Are they actually providing value? If so, then they're going to get paid. If they're not providing value, don't pay them. And this really supports a stronger, more decentralized Lightning Network. And what we see both from root structures as well as from fungi is that the networks, they actually grow outward first before concentrating. And supporting larger payments is essential because just around the corner, Tether will be issuing USDT on the Lightning Network natively through Taproot assets. Now that's $20 trillion is the stablecoin volume just last year. And in order to think and plan for that happening on the Lightning Network, we need to massively build the liquidity and also build these reliable payment paths for those stablecoin assets to use. So if you want to get started, you can try getting smarter liquidity, and you can start doing a liquidity subscription for as little as $5 a month. You can add analytics for deeper insight and overall save yourself some time. Your time is your most scarce resource, and for companies and businesses that are starting up, you really don't want to be spending your time doing channel management, and instead you could make a simple payment for a liquidity subscription, save on payment processing fees instead of paying Visa and MasterCard. Additionally, we're open to other Lightning nodes becoming LSPs. So you can access this ongoing liquidity demand that is coming from liquidity subscriptions and see if your node can actually add a lot of value to our customers of liquidity subscriptions. And this allows you to start earning Bitcoin from leasing channels without giving up custody of your Bitcoin. So super exciting. And we'd love to have you join us as an LSP or try out liquidity subscriptions. Don't be afraid to give us feedback. We're open to all of it. Overall, to help our product be better and also help the Lightning Network be successful, we have to move the global economy onto Bitcoin as more honest rails. So please join me and let us know what you think. Thanks so much.